Hey, welcome back to the show. Today's episode is a quickie and it's all about and the needs for myself change. And so if you're anything like me, we go through seasons. We have personal seasons, we have seasons in the gym, we have seasons with relationships, we have seasons with our businesses. And so as the seasons change, so does the schedule. And I'll give you the perfect example. Back in 2020, Mike and I lived in an RV for 14 months and we traveled the country through 27 different states. In that season for 14 months, we really batched all of our work, very, very, very long days on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. And we generally would take off Thursdays and Fridays completely. And while that sounds like a total dream and a vacation, it wasn't, because we were usually traveling on those days, or we were, driving from place to place, setting up camp, or we were exploring the different areas that we were in. But that meant that Monday through Wednesday really they were like marathon days. And sometimes they would be 10, 12 hours just nonstop in the tiny little RV. I mean, we had a big RV relative to RVs, but 10 hours of working inside the RV, and the end of the day would be dinner time and we have to leave. I'm like, we have to go for a walk or something. So there are definitely different seasons. What I'm sharing with you today is through the lens of where I'm at right now in my business. And I'm sharing this for a couple different reasons. Number one, it could just open your eyes up to what's possible. And also it's like a peek behind the curtain of what it really does look like, again, in my experience of how we're running our multiple seven-figure company with a team, and what that could look like for you. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of really sexy, flashy marketing on the internet where people are saying, they work 5 hours a week, or they're doing a seven-figure business in 10 hours a week, or whatever that might be. And I guess maybe that could be true for them, but I definitely have not experienced that myself, nor have I in any high-level room that I've been in with other entrepreneurs. So I'm going to break it down for you. Where the business is today, we've tried to separate my different energies, and I've been talking about this for years. So back in 2017, 6 years ago, I created a free training all about energy types, and we talk about masculine energy and feminine energy, and it has nothing to do with what you identify as or what you were born as or what your preferences in the other species, but it's just our brain is broken into left and right sides, and we have a masculine side and we have a feminine side. And so our masculine side is really in control of logical A to B. It's very linear thinking. It's very data and spreadsheets oriented. It's the planner in us. And we all have this. Even if you tend to default to the other side and vice versa, you have both. The feminine side is going to be our more creative side. This is the colorful side. It's the kind of go with the flow, on a whim, the downloads of ideas. And so when you're looking at your business, or anything in your life, there are going to be things that you do that are going to be naturally more feminine energy and then naturally more masculine energy. And studies have shown that when we jump from one side of the brain to the other, it actually takes us about 23 minutes to be able to get our focus back again, which is crazy because we all think that we're really good at multitasking. I mean, I am good at multitasking relative to what that means. So I'm able to multitask. However, when I read about it, and I read about how scientifically we actually can't jump from one thing to another without it taking time to make the transition, then I often wonder, just because I can multitask, should I be? And the answer is no, because you're not 100% focused on the thing that you're doing. So a perfect example would be you're typing out a post, or you're writing an email, or you're creating something in Canva. You're doing something, doesn't even matter what type of energy it is, but you're doing something, and then a ping alert comes in that you got an email. And so you stop what you're doing, you go read the email, you maybe respond to the email, maybe you have a reaction to the email, maybe you flag it and you say, I'm going to come back to it later, and then you go back to the task that you were on. This is where the brain actually could take up to 23 minutes for you to toggle between these tasks. So you think that you're jumping from one thing to another easily and effortlessly and quickly, but what's actually happening is you're draining your brain battery faster. And so this is why a lot of times at the end of the day, especially days that we don't really feel that productive, we're still exhausted. And it's like, gosh, why was that so exhausting? Or if you've ever gone to a conference or an event where you're sitting and you're not really doing anything all day, but you're taking in new information, that fires new synapses to connect in the brain. And when they're firing new synapses, when you're learning something new, it's taking a lot of energy. And so that's why at the end of the day, you could feel physically exhausted from something. So I'm telling you this all because for years, I've been trying to get to a place in my business where I sort of separated either parts of my day where I'm like batching different like energy tasks or different days. And so where I am today, as I'm recording this March of 2023, we have finally been able to be in a place where we've sort of broken my schedule apart, but it's not perfect. So everything I'm telling you is just through my own lens. It's not right or wrong. It's what's currently working for me, but it didn't work for me in the past and it might not work for me in the future. Again, there's seasons. So let's start with the day in the life of an entrepreneur, me, and what that looks like just in terms of my morning. So one of the most common questions that I get asked is, what's my morning routine? Now, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 8 years ago, I would have told you the most strict morning routine. It was a freaking checklist. If I didn't get everything done in the order that I got it done at the time that it was supposed to be done, then I felt like I wasn't set up for the day. I felt like a failure. And a lot of that came from learning so much about millionaire mornings and what millionaires do. And right, I was striving to have this $1 million business. And so do what they do, success leaves clues. I'm going to follow everything that all the books say. I'm going to take all that and I'm going to put it together. And it took me a couple of years to be able to do all of the different things, and I'll tell you what they are in a moment. But what I did was I practiced habit stacking. So it was sort of creating one habit, let's say meditation, and when that became a habit after a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, I would then add another habit on to that. And so when I finished meditating, I would then have my journal prepared out in front of me with my pen ready to go. And so it was like, okay, I'm going to do my meditation, I'm going to add on journaling, meditation, add on journaling. And I did that until that became a habit. And then I added more and added more. And there was a point where, gosh, for years, my morning routine went from like a quick 5-minute thing before I went to the gym, before I came home to get ready for school when I was a school teacher. It was like a 5-minute thing. And it went to a half hour and then an hour. And then when I became an entrepreneur, it really stretched to like 2. And I was in a place where when I first left my teaching job and I was an entrepreneur, there was a couple of years there where my morning routine was about 3 hours long. And I know that that sounds very like, ugh, must be nice, which again, it took me years to get to that place. But I also don't think that that's necessarily the right thing, which is why I don't do that anymore. When I recognized that my morning routine had become a checklist, I didn't feel like the things that I was doing were giving me the result that I wanted them to, like the whole reason to meditate or the purpose behind journaling or whatever that would be. I like wasn't feeling the result of the action that I was taking, but it was actually exhausting me, or it just felt like, okay, check did it, on to the next. I think it's really interesting. So yeah, if you listen to an article or a podcast or an article from 6 years ago, it was like 7:01, do this, 7:05, do this, 7:10, 7:10, do this. Now, I don't work like that, but I do stuff for myself first. And we've all heard it a million times over, put your oxygen mask on first before you put on anybody else's. I also really deeply believe in we are creating our future. And so it is a choice. And how I want to show up is a choice. And if I repeat the same patterns and actions and habits and thoughts day after day, I'm going to be living the life that I've always been living. And not that that's not a great life, but if I'm looking to move forward, advance, evolve, it's going to require different thoughts, different actions. So now I kind of have like a buffet. I have a platter of tools that I've learned over the years and I've practiced over the years. I don't want to say that they're non-negotiable because there are days that I definitely negotiate myself out of them. Not because I don't feel like it, but because I might choose a different tool instead. And where I am today, I'm very flexible with what do I need? What do I need? What does my body need? What does my brain need? Where am I? What season am I in? What cycle phase am I in with my own hormones, right? Like, what do I need today? It's not as rigid as it once was. But a couple of the things that I do and I lean on as tools, whether they're happening in the morning, midday, when I'm going through something, or maybe even at night, movement is a non-negotiable for sure. So daily movement, and that might just be walks. So there was a really long period of my life where I competed bodybuilding fitness competitions, and I was a trainer for 18 years and doing fitness magazines and TV shows, and fitness was everything. So at that time, for that season, 2 decades, if I wasn't like crying in a puddle of sweat about to throw up, it didn't count. Like I didn't think it was good enough for a workout. Now, the season that I'm in, and I've been in for a couple of years, sometimes I want to dance. Sometimes I just want to stretch and do yoga. Sometimes it's like, I'm kind of feeling like throwing a barbell around. I want to play with kettlebells. Maybe it's just taking a walk today. But moving my body is non-negotiable. Getting outside in nature is non-negotiable. Doesn't matter what the weather is. I am very grateful that we live in Scottsdale now. It's generally 75 and sunny every day. But let me get outside. Let me get some vitamin D. Let me be in nature, especially without audio. So this is huge. For the longest time, especially living in New York City, the second that I would go outside to go to the subway, to walk somewhere, to take the train, to get an Uber, it was like earpods go in, it's a podcast, it's an audiobook, it's music. And now I really, really enjoy silence. I want to hear the birds. I want to hear the trees blowing in the wind. So movement and getting outside are non-negotiables. Some of the other tools that I have that I lean on majority of the time. Meditation is pretty much an everyday thing for me. I'd say 5 or 6 days a week at minimum. Whether that is a 10-minute meditation or an hour and 15-minute meditation, I no longer judge myself and say only if it's an hour and 15 is it going to work or is it going to be good enough. I kind of just go with what I want or need, unless I'm working through a particular thing, right? If I'm working through something or maybe a challenge, maybe I'm working through a course because I still invest in courses all the time, then that might be a little bit more specific. But meditation, I love journaling. I do not journal every day anymore. I did for many, many years, but I love journaling. Mike and I practice gratitude and sort of crazy, stupid idea time and what did we mess up today? We usually do that at dinner, but sometimes that happens on a walk. But it doesn't have to be every single day, these 3 things and 6 things and 9 things. It's kind of just, hey, what are you grateful for today? Let's unpack some of that. What did you learn today? What did you mess up today? I love that question. That came from Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. She always shares how at dinner her dad said, what'd you screw up today in school, kid? And it was the permission to fail. It was the validation that it's actually a good thing to fail because it means that we're just learning. So I love that. Mike and I do that. Some other tools that I have. I love, 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 love breath work. But again, I don't do it all the time. I love EFT tapping. So I don't know if you're familiar with EFT tapping. There's cool things you can do there. RTT is a type of therapy. That's really cool. I've used that a lot over the years. Subconscious reprogramming is really fun. I've done that a lot. And usually that's through a hypnotherapy type of situation. Subliminal messages are also really popular. So fun fact, growing up, I was a competitive gymnast and my mom was very in tune with sort of the mindset stuff that we all are following today and that is so prevalent on social media. So things like Jack Canfield, he's an author, he wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. I used to get Chicken Soup for the Soul books for Hanukkah every single year. Chicken Soup for the daughter soul, Chicken Soup for the teenage soul. That type of stuff was very prevalent in my house. Tony Robbins was always something that my mom shared with me, The Secret, at a very young age. And when I was in elementary school, my mom used to play subliminal message tapes, cassette tapes. You remember when they would get all messed up and you'd have to wind it with a pencil? You'd have to stick a pencil in the middle because the tape all came out. Anyway, she would play this tape for me every night during at bedtime when I was falling asleep. And I did this all through middle school and high school as well. It was the sound of an ocean, but underlying deep-seated theta brainwave, there was a voice. You could never hear the voice, but it was this subliminal message about, I don't even know what it was. I would have to ask her. But I think it was about being worthy and being loved and being great and having greatness inside you. And I played that every single night for my entire childhood. And I'm so grateful that I was given tools like that at a young age. So now when I see people offering stuff like that on the internet, not recently, 2 years ago, I bought subliminal messages from a gal on the internet. And so she had all these different messages that she was sending you, worthiness and fear of imposter and showing up and financials. And so a lot of times I'll play those and I'll play them when I'm journaling because it's just music. You don't actually hear any vocals or any voice come out. So lots of tools in my toolbox. I use some of them. Whatever I'm feeling like I need. And I've definitely go through seasons where something is more prevalent than others. Pretty much movement, nature, and meditation are the core pillars that are always coming up for me. From there, I move into my day, and this is where things have really changed. As I was building my business and certainly first scaling my business, I worked a lot. I still put in a decent amount of hours. This is me working right now, right? But it's different. The type of work I'm doing is different because now I have a team and I've been delegating for many, many years. So I really do get to stay in my true zone of genius, which is awesome. And that's the goal when you're scaling a business. So now what my schedule looks like is we really broke my days up based on the type of task that I'm going to be doing, based on the type of energy, masculine and feminine. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. So Mondays for me are all administrative days. That is the only day on the calendar that I will take a meeting. Generally, that is an internal meeting. I'm not really meeting with people externally, but if for any reason I had to meet with one of our independent contractors, or maybe we're hosting an event and we're going to meet with someone that we're hiring, it's Monday. So all meetings are on Mondays. Typically, that means that I'm not getting much done on Mondays. There's nothing creative happening. If I don't have a post ready to go, scheduled out, like pre-written, pre-recorded, it's not going to happen. I am back to back on meetings. And so our meetings aren't necessarily all long, but a lot of them are requiring us time because they might have creative aspects to the meeting of where we're like brainstorming or we're walking through things together. So just to break the meetings down for you, we have an executive team meeting. So that's with, I am the CVO, the visionary officer and founder. We've got Mike, who is our acting CEO. He's also CFO. He does all of our like financials and operations type stuff. And then Lauren is the COO. So she's the integrator of the company. She's sort of like the puppeteer who moves all the pieces and makes sure that everything is working smoothly. So the three of us have a longer executive team meeting where we're going through projects and time management and just new ideas and what I want to come to life and where we're at with everything. Later on in the day, we also have a growth team meeting. So when you break down the org chart, anything that happens before the sale is part of the growth department. Anything that happens after the sale is considered part of the customer fulfillment or customer success department. In the middle, you have the operations department where legal, tech, HR, etc. Okay, so Mondays, we also have a growth team meeting where we're going through all of our metrics. So we track metrics. Everyone on the team is responsible. We have other teammates as well. Everyone on the team is responsible for a particular metric or a few metrics. I think I have 4. And all year we track that metric. And every week we come to the table and we talk about where our metric is. And what we're shooting for here is 1% growth. So if we can get 1% growth week over week, we're looking at over 52% growth for the company in that particular area for the end of the year. That's incredible. Could you imagine your business growing by 52% or more? Like, that's insane. So on the growth team meeting, we're giving our metrics and then we're talking about why we didn't hit it. Can anyone help me? Can we brainstorm why we did hit it? Let's be detectives. What do we think I did, or what did we do this week that worked? Why did that pop? Why did that explode? And we can do a whole other episode on all the different metrics that we measure. But those are our 2 biggest meetings that we have. The third meeting that I have is I have a particular meeting just with Lauren, the integrator. So that is our meeting together. And that's generally where I'm bringing her all of my crazy, stupid ideas, the things that I would love to be birthed into the world. She then takes that back to the drawing board herself and figures out, does it make sense? Does it make sense with where we're going? Will it fit into our schedule, our timeline, etc.? Once she plugs it in, that's when she would then come back to an executive team meeting and she would let us know, okay, we're going to move forward with this, or we're not going to talk about that until 3 months from now, or whatever that might be. Those are that's my Monday. In addition to the meetings, because they're not hours and hours and hours long, in addition to the Monday meetings, I'm doing any other admin type work. So if for any reason I do have to check out some spreadsheets or data, maybe respond to some emails, respond to people, check in with my coaches. Oh, we do also have a coaches meeting. I totally forgot. So on Monday mornings, we have a coaches meeting. We have coaches that work with us in our signature program, Empower. And so every Monday, we'll have a meeting with the coaches that I run. And it's basically, this is where we're at, the theme of the week. What do you need? Who needs help? How are the students doing? Let's share wins that are coming up. Let's share common questions that are coming up. And we just make sure that all of the coaches and I are on the same page. So all of that's happening on Monday. Now, Tuesdays and Thursdays are open only for coaching. So what my business looks like today versus what it looked like many years ago, I coach far less than I used to. There was a point, especially before I had a team, where I wasn't having meetings because I didn't have a team, and all I was doing was coaching. I had a lot of products, a lot of programs, and I had a lot of one-on-one clients. Now in 2023, I don't have any one-on-one clients. Last year, I only had 2. And the year before, I think I had about 3 or 5. So I've slowly been teetering down on my one-on-one clients, and that's just a personal preference. If it's the right person at the right time, I will absolutely still take a one-on-one client. But generally, right now, I just don't have the capacity to do that. That's not where my focus is. My focus is on scaling the company, scaling the team. And so I used to have a ton of coaching calls. Now I have less, but I still have enough that it takes up Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Tuesdays and Thursdays are going to be all of my different coaching calls, which is a very feminine, nurturing, creative energy. I'm doing the back and forth. I'm in it with them. It's not like linear data, right? It's back and forth energy of coaching and nurturing. So my different programs, if for some reason I am doing some sort of a one-on-one situation, or I'm doing a guest coaching where I come into someone else's program, or I'm speaking on a virtual stage, like that's always going to be on a Tuesday or a Thursday. And so I get to stay in that energy on Tuesdays and Thursdays, which I love. It also allows me to just be more present during coaching calls rather than where I used to be, which was like 3 coaching calls back to back, and then boom, I have to write these emails, and now all of a sudden I'm on a meeting, and it was just chaotic. Now, Wednesdays and Fridays, as crazy as this sounds, they are completely empty. They are not days off. They are not days for me to just run around and sit with my feet up on the beach with a cocktail. Wednesdays and Fridays are completely open because those are days that I am creating. So anything that I need to create, new modules in our course, videos that I need to create, if we're going to run a bunch of ads and I need to create new ads assets, if I need to write copy for a sales page, copy for emails, Instagram posts, batching out, filming reels, doing our podcast, doing YouTube. So Wednesdays and Fridays are very, very full, but it just depends on what season we're in the business and what needs the business and my content has from me. Now, as a coach and entrepreneur, I am a full-time content creator. And I think a lot of coaches don't realize that that's part of the job. And a lot of people don't like creating content. And I get that, but understand then you're probably going to want to outsource that type of stuff because it really is important when you're using social media and digital marketing to market yourself, your programs, and your products. And so part of my job is content creation. The interesting thing is, and maybe this has happened to you, the number one place in my business over the years that has sort of gotten the back burner, it's been put on the back burner time and time again, has been content. It's like, well, I don't have time to do that right now. I'm so busy. I'm on all these calls. I'm on all these meetings. I'm speaking on stages. I'm going to networking events. So I'm going to push the content. I'm going to push the content. And the funny thing is, it's not that funny. It's like, duh. Every time I've pushed content to the back burner, content falls under the growth department. This is where we generate new leads. This is where we nurture our current leads, and this is where we promote and sell to the hottest leads that are ready to buy. And so anytime I've pushed content to the back burner, well, what do you think has happened? There's been a lull in the growth of the business. There's been a lull in the growth of my followers. There's been a lull in the growth of our email list. Well, duh. So we really got clear this year in 2023 and said, that's it, enough is enough. Like, I'm putting my foot down. The team did as well. And we said, it is not okay. Content can't be a if there's time type of thing anymore. Content is the forefront of the business. And so we're making time for it, and we're splitting Wednesdays and Fridays, and that is it. We're completely off of meetings and calls. Now, I know it sounds like perfect in a perfect situation, and it's not reality for a lot of us, and that's fine. And you might have a full-time job, and you might have family with kids that you're taking care of and sports that you have to go to. So you don't need to create your schedule like mine. This has taken me 6 years to get here, 3 where we've literally for 3 years been working to get here with our team. And we've been slowly delegating things, taking them off my plate, keeping me in my zone of genius, removing me from meetings. At first I was on every meeting, and now it just doesn't make sense. I don't need to be on every meeting. The people on our team have been trained to a place where they don't need me, or it's not important for me to be there. So now I really get to sit in 2 seats. I sit in the visionary, the founder seat, and I sit in the content creator seat, which falls under growth. And those are really the 2 seats that I think a lot of us want to be in when we're coaches, when we're content creators, when we're entrepreneurs. When you're the face and you're the founder, that's generally the 2 places you will sit. But I don't need to sit in everybody else's seat because I just get in the way. So now, years later, this is what we're doing for the current business model. I won't take calls or schedule meetings or anything on the weekends, but I do work on the weekends. But it's what I want to do. And it's not all the time. It's a seasonal thing. So if we're in a launch, there might be work that I do on the weekend. Personally, I love working on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning for an hour or two because I'm not bothered by anybody. Not that anyone's bothering me, but no one's expecting me to be around. Slack isn't popping off. I don't have meetings on the calendar. Clients aren't waiting for me. It's the weekend. And so I have found that sometimes Saturday and Sunday morning are actually really creative time for me. So I don't put myself in a box or a container and say, well, I can only be creative on Wednesdays and Fridays, right? It's like, well, if the creativity strikes, let me run with it. So we find time when needed and we'll move things around. Similarly, maybe I'm gonna go meet up with a friend and get coffee or go get a facial, and maybe Friday is the only time that I can do it. So I will allow myself to do that as well. Now I try my best to work half days on Fridays. I really do like to give myself some space. By Friday afternoon, I'm pretty burnt out. I think a lot of us are, right? It's like enough is enough, but it doesn't always work. And in the summer, we try our best in the team to do summer Fridays, where we also all end early on Fridays as well. So the way that the culture is in our business is that as long as you're getting the work done, we're cool with it. And unless we're in the season of launch where we all know it's like all hands on deck, I don't need you to be on all the time for like 9 to 5 hours. We don't want it to feel that way. But that's a discussion that we had. Those are our company core values, our mission, our vision. Everything goes back to that, and that's how we make those decisions moving forward, and we're all on the same page. Now, one last thing I will say is there are some things that I do monthly as well as an entrepreneur. So number one is I am part of a female entrepreneurial community. It's a membership community. They do live and in-person events and trainings and all sorts of stuff. So once a month, I attend one of those live every single month here in Scottsdale, which is awesome. And that's a really great place for me to network, but also to learn. They bring in guest speakers. I get to learn, see what's hot in the market, what do people want, and I get to connect with other female entrepreneurs. There are actually 2 of those memberships here in Scottsdale, and I've done both of them. I'm also part of a photography membership where once a month or once every other month, I can go and I can get a quick half hour, some quick little pictures. Look, you don't have to do this type of stuff. Most of my content is all filmed on my iPhone, including our YouTube channel. However, it's nice sometimes to have a professional photographer. You pop in, you do a half hour. And again, the way that this runs is there are multiple people at the same time. So like 4 of us will show up for an hour shoot. And while one person is changing, another one is shooting, someone's kind of behind the scenes cheering you on, taking pictures, and then you just toggle through. So again, it's a great way for me to network with other female entrepreneurs. And then usually we go get coffee or lunch or something like that afterwards. In addition to those things which are monthly, then I'm always investing in myself, whether that is to go to live events, that's to be a part of a mastermind, or whatever that might look like. So this is now the 3rd year with my current mentor in his high-level mastermind. Before that, I was with other mentors in other masterminds since 2014. It's 2023 right now. That's crazy. That's 9 years that I've been investing in coaching programs and masterminds. So once a month, we have a call virtually with our mastermind group where I am getting mentored and taught, and I'm with peers. And then 3 times a year, we meet in person for an in-person retreat, just as we do for our Digital Business Evolution Elite Mastermind that we host. That is something that I'm a part of as well. So 3 times a year, I'm traveling with Mike. He's in the mastermind as well, and we're going to that. In addition to that, we do things like this April, we are going to a week-long advanced progressive retreat with Dr. Joe Dispenza, which I am so excited for. I have been studying his work for years and using his meditations for years, and I cannot wait to go. In the past, I've gone to Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power Within. I go to different business events all the time. I just bought tickets today for one of my girlfriends who hosts a big event in August that I'll be going to. Sometimes I'm speaking at them and I'll stick around. Sometimes I'm just going to be an observer. I'm going to sit in the audience and to learn and get poured back into. For years, we've gone to Lewis Howe's Summit of Greatness. I mean, there's so many incredible events that we go to live. Virtual's cool too, but in person is amazing. So that's part of it as well. And I'm always investing in courses and coaching programs in addition to that stuff. So just the other day, I bought a year-long membership to an app, which is like meditation, manifestation, inner child work, shadow work, stuff like that. And I've done it before, but I wanted to do it again. So I just bought a year on that particular app. We've had Gaia, which is a really cool platform. We actually gifted Gaia to a bunch of our clients once for an entire year. I'll take other courses in specific things like messaging or copywriting, and we'll hire coaches in different areas too. So day in the life of an entrepreneur, we basically wrap it up. Mike and I try to wrap up our day around dinner time, 4:30, 5 o'clock each day if possible. And then that's when we transition back over to sort of husband and wife, right? Because that's what we are. So we've gotten pretty good. We don't compartmentalize our time. We don't have to do date nights. We've done episodes on that. Because for us, it's like symbiotic, and the life is the business and the business is the life. And yes, we build the business around the life, but we are doing it together. And so we don't compartmentalize where things go. But typically at the end of the day, 4 or 5 o'clock, we'll go on a second walk for the day. We've at least done one throughout the day. We'll go on our second walk. And that's really where we transition to sort of life partners and, husband and wife. And we'll shift the energy, because a lot of times in work, I'm very much in my masculine boss energy. And so we'll shift into our energies. Sometimes we don't even talk for the first 20 minutes of our walk. We're just kind of like decompressing, checking in with each other. And then we go into a very, traditional, boring type of night. And I think all of us do, right? We play music when we cook dinner. We cook at home every single night. We have dinner at the table, no phones allowed, music is on, dog sits on the carpet away from us, no begging. And that's where we'll have the conversation of kind of like, yeah, how was your day? But also, what are you grateful for? What did you learn? What are we working on tomorrow? And then truth be told, we veg out on the couch every night. Like when we're done and we're done cleaning up for the night, we veg out. Sometimes we're watching something like a documentary. Sometimes we're reading, but we'll take an hour or so at the end of the day to, just veg out and go to bed and do it again. That's it. It's not that exciting. So the funny thing is, a lot of entrepreneurs get into entrepreneurship because they don't want a boss, or they don't want the traditional 9-to-5 type of work, and they want to create freedom and autonomy in their life. And that's one of the reasons why I did as well. Our day-to-day oftentimes looks pretty structured because we've learned that structure creates freedom. And also humans love structure. Like we love schedules. We don't do well without them. We love routines. So the Monday through Friday is kind of traditional. Sometimes we work really late, and sometimes we'll be out running around having fun at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday, and we'll have to pinch ourselves like, wow, look at this. This is crazy. And we get to do it together. So the structure creates the freedom. We have all the autonomy in the world that we'd want, but we put in the hours, we do the work. It's very structured with who does what and the organizational chart and what days we do what things. And at the end of the day, we've finally gotten to a place where I really do get to stay in my zone of genius the majority of the time. And so does everybody else on the team. And that's what's so important. I am not a diva. That's not what leadership is. It's not, I'm going to sit back while they all work. We all get to sit in our zones of genius, and that is the best part. And it's taken us a long time to figure out what that is for everybody. And as we all do things, we understand things better. Because remember, there's clarity in contrast. So as one person on the team tries one thing and learns that's not really for me, I really want to do this other thing, then we'll nurture and foster that, and we'll find someone else to fill in elsewhere. So it's not that you're just always, unicorns and rainbows. Sometimes you got to jump in and help out. But again, there are seasons in business and seasons in life and seasons in relationships and seasons in growth. And that would be the biggest thing I'd say to take away. So a day in the life with me, it depends what day it's going to be. And it depends where we are in our launch calendar for our business. But traditionally, it looks pretty much the same. We like to take weekends off. We love to have fun. We love to explore. We love nature, hiking, and all of that. And really, we're just working to keep Montana to the life to which he is accustomed, because he is one spoiled little dog. And we joke all the time that we're working for him, All right. If you love this episode, let me know. If you have questions, let me know. Comment. I love to hear them. DM me. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. I am Jessica. Try that again. Shoot me a message on Instagram at I am Jessica DeRose. Let me know if this resonated. Let me know if you have questions, what you want to try, and what's working in your business, because what tools you have and what's working for you might be helpful for me or somebody else, and I'd love to share that. As always, we love and appreciate your 5-star reviews and your ratings, because it lets us know exactly what you're loving on the episode. And my friends, cheers to your evolution. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you loved this episode, I invite you to be a part of our ripple effect and share it with a friend. And please, if you feel called, take 30 seconds to leave a 5-star review, and I'll be forever grateful. Until next time, cheers to your evolution.